The story begins with a girl named Azusa who works tirelessly for a corporate company, but she ends up working herself to death. She appears before the goddess, who notices her suffering and grants her a new life where she can finally find happiness. She requests immortality and agelessness because she just wants to live a slow and peaceful life, so the goddess grants her wish and reincarnates her as an immortal witch. Azusa finds a small house in the highlands, which the goddess had left for her, and she realizes she has a knife, as well as the money she needs to start a new life. She decides to visit the nearby village, but along the way, she encounters a slime, which attacks her, but it fails to hurt her. She swings her knife at it, and she manages to defeat it, realizing it has turned into a magic crystal. She thinks it might be useful later on, but before she can continue her journey, she suddenly gets surrounded by slimes. After that, Azusa finally reaches a village, where a woman offers to help her. She guides Azusa to the Adventurers Guild, where a receptionist greets her, telling her their village is peaceful, and she mentions that slimes are the only monsters in the area. Azusa shows her the magic crystals she collected, but the receptionist tells her she can only exchange them for money after she registers with the guild. So she decides to register, and she follows the instructions, placing her hand on a magical platform, which reveals that she's a level 1 witch. The receptionist is shocked to learn that she's immortal, despite being at a low level, but she explains that she's just lucky. She exchanges the crystals for coins, as the receptionist welcomes her to the guild. Over the following days, Azusa adopts a simple routine, which involves defeating 25 slimes a day, tending to her field, and selling medicinal herbs that she collects from the forest. After 300 years, we see that Azusa is still sticking to her routine, and she can now defeat slimes effortlessly. She becomes famous as the Highland Witch because she helps the villagers by providing medicines and stopping plagues. The guild receptionist Natalie tells Azusa to retake her test because her last test was done centuries ago. She reluctantly agrees to do it, but they're both shocked by the results because her level has reached 99 and her stats are insane. She thinks the device is broken because she has only ever killed slimes and has never gone on any real adventures. But Natalie reminds her that she's been doing it for 300 years, telling her she has a special skill that doubles the XP she earns. Natalie explains that by defeating millions of slimes, she has become the strongest adventurer in the world, but she isn't happy hearing this since she just wants to live an ordinary life. So she tells Natalie to keep it a secret, and after a bit of hesitation, Natalie agrees to her request. Azusa decides to test her abilities, and she uses ice magic to freeze water, but she accidentally freezes an entire waterfall, realizing she has become extremely powerful. She realizes she can control both fire and ice magic, which she finds useful for her daily life. But despite her attempts to keep a low profile, a group of adventurers suddenly shows up at her house, and they challenge her to a fight because they have heard rumors about her strength. She tries to convince them that she's just an ordinary witch who makes a living by growing medicinal herbs, but they sense her immense mana and insist on fighting her. So she agrees to fight them under the condition that if she wins, they must spread the word that she's just an ordinary witch. She draws a circle around them and explains that if anyone steps out of it, they will lose. One of the adventurers uses wind magic to create a tornado, and Azusa tries to copy her spell, but she accidentally creates a massive tornado, which blows the adventurers away, and the villagers see it, so they're convinced that she's OP. Azusa gets angry and confronts Natalie for breaking her promise, but a man named Ernest reveals that he was the one who leaked the information. Her reputation spreads even further, and it eventually reaches a dragon named Laika, who comes to challenge her. She tries to avoid the fight by offering her the title of the strongest, but Laika insists on settling the matter through a fight. Azusa reluctantly agrees to the duel because she doesn't want her home to be destroyed by Laika's rampage. They both fly to the sky, where Laika breathes fire, but Azusa counters with ice magic, which overpowers her flames. She desperately tries to hit Azusa using her claws, but she manages to avoid all of her attacks, and she freezes her mouth. Laika is unable to continue the fight, but as she struggles because of her brain freeze, she accidentally destroys Azusa's house, so she becomes angry, and she knocks Laika out with a single blow. She tells Laika to pay for the damages, so she promises to return with her money. Azusa decides to stay in the village, while her house gets repaired, but everyone already knows that she defeated the dragon, so they ask her to stay in the town office. The next morning, Laika arrives to meet Azusa, but she's unable to recognize her in her human form. She gives Azusa the money for repairs, and she asks her if she can become her student because their battle made her realize that she still has much to learn. Azusa initially hesitates since she has never trained anyone and only gained her strength by defeating slimes. But Laika mentions that she'll be useful and even offers to do her chores, so Azusa agrees to be her master. As they begin their new life together, Azusa realizes that her house is too small for both of them, so Laika offers to help her expand it. She begins working tirelessly and even plans to work through the night, but Azusa stops her because she doesn't want her to push herself too hard. So Laika only works during the day, and after some time, the house is completed and Azusa is impressed, telling her she did an excellent job. We see Azusa killing a group of slimes, which shocks Laika because she thought she had to work extremely hard to reach such a high level. So Azusa reminds her to take it easy, telling her they have all the time in the world. But we see a strange girl watching them, and she mentions that she will make Azusa pay. The next day, Laika prepares breakfast for them, but she ends up making way too much since she isn't used to preparing food for others. Azusa finds it delicious, and Laika offers to prepare it every day, but Azusa tells her they should take turns. She mentions that the village isn't safe because its defenses are weak, so it will be destroyed if it gets attacked by monsters. She suggests placing a protective barrier around it, and Azusa likes the idea because she can't protect it all the time. They go to a nearby cliff, where Laika guides her on how to set up a barrier. They create a magic circle and successfully install the barrier, which freezes a thief who is trying to steal from the village. Laika tells the village chief that it's all thanks to her master, which makes him happy, and he tells everyone about it, so they start praising Azusa. But she wants Laika to have the attention, so she praises her for the idea and introduces her to everyone, telling them she's a dragon. So everyone feels safe because they have a witch and a dragon watching over them. They're both happy to live together and learn new things from each other, but one day, a girl named Falfa arrives to meet Azusa, telling her she's her daughter. Laika is shocked that she has a daughter, but she thinks Falfa is mistaken, thinking she doesn't know what a mother means. She mentions that her younger sister has been researching Azusa, which shocks her that she has another daughter. But Falfa mentions that her sister Shala wants to kill Azusa, so she becomes scared. They invite Falfa to have cookies with them, and they wonder why Shala is after Azusa's life, so Falfa reveals that she hates Azusa because of everything she did to her. Laika suggests they should prepare themselves for the incoming danger, and Azusa asks Falfa about the kind of attacks her sister will use against her. So she reveals that Shala has always trained herself in Haja magic, and Azusa recognizes it as the kind of magic that only works on certain races, but the more specific its target is, the stronger it becomes. Laika mentions that one can't use it without decades of practice, so Azusa asks Falfa about their age, and she reveals that they're around 50 years old, which convinces Azusa that they aren't ordinary humans. Azusa wonders what kind of Haja magic Shala has developed to fight her, but the ground suddenly starts shaking, and Falfa rushes out to see her sister. Laika notices the sinister aura around Shala, and Falfa tries to stop her, but she mentions that she must get revenge because she was killed by their mother. Azusa explains that she couldn't have killed her, but Shala reminds her that she has killed countless slimes. So she becomes confused, and Falfa reveals that they're slime spirits created by the combination of dead slime souls. Shala mentions that she will kill Azusa and mourn for the dead slimes, but Azusa doesn't want to fight her because she's just a child. Laika advises her to use her wind magic and create a tornado, but Shala counters it using her Haja magic. She reveals that she has been training all these years to kill her, so her attacks are useless against her. Shala tells Azusa to use all of her magic, so she combines her flames to launch a powerful attack, but Shala instantly dispels it. She realizes that Shala is only after her, and she won't harm Laika and Falfa, so she tries to fly away, but Shala nullifies her flying magic, and she crashes to the ground. She mentions that she won't let Azusa escape, and her whole life flashes before her eyes as she prepares to meet her end. But Laika suddenly changes to her dragon form and blocks the attack. She explains that she won't let Shala attack her master, and she punches her, knocking her out, and everyone can't believe Shala was defeated so easily. After that, Falfa explains that Azusa was the only target of Shala's Haja magic, which explains why it was extremely effective against her, but it's useless against other opponents. When Shala wakes up, she tries to attack Azusa again, but she's unable to use her Haja magic since it requires decades of preparation. So she becomes depressed, saying it was her life's only purpose, but Azusa explains that she's still alive, so Shala still has a reason to live, telling her to live her life so that she can get revenge. Falfa tells her that Azusa took care of her when she was unconscious, and Azusa explains that she's her daughter, so she couldn't just leave her. Shala can't deny being her daughter, but she still can't forget what Azusa did to the slimes. Falfa explains that humans and slimes are enemies, so they always fight each other, and she tells her sister to be happy that they're alive. Azusa invites them to live with her, and Shala surprisingly agrees to stay in the house, making everyone happy. Laika suggests hosting a welcome party for them, so they all leave to buy the ingredients. As they walk to the village, Azusa wonders what the sisters have been doing so far, so they reveal that they killed the bad slimes, which are transparent in color. They show her a bad slime, and they kill it by poking its weak spot. Azusa shows them around the village, and they enjoy their dinner party together, as she realizes that she's happy to have them around. Falfa and Shala read a book on elven history, as Azusa realizes she has never met an elf before, but someone suddenly knocks at the door, and they meet a young elf named Halkara. She mentions that she needs help, because the high demon named Beelzebub is after her, but Azusa isn't fond of fighting, so she tries to close the door on her. But Halkara begs her for help, so Azusa allows her to stay at her house. She reveals that she came from a small elven nation in the province of Hrant, where she made medicines from plants. She recently made an energy drink, which became popular, and she even started a small factory, but the production couldn't keep up with the demand. Laika wonders why Beels is after her, so she reveals that Beels drank the energy drink, but it was poisonous to demons, so she almost died, and she wants to get revenge. Halkara begs Azusa to help her once again, and Falfa and Shala mention that they feel sorry for her, so she agrees to help her. But she explains that she will only shelter her, because she doesn't want to fight Beels. She gives her an outfit, telling her to pretend she's her second disciple, and Azusa places a protective barrier around their house. After that, they all enjoy their meal, and Halkara gets emotional, since she was only surviving on tree nuts, while she was being chased by Beels. Falfa and Shala try to make her feel at home, and they offer her their food, which makes her cry even more. Azusa and Halkara go out to pick herbs from the forest, and Azusa notices that she's only picking mushrooms of different kinds. Halkara mentions that mushrooms are her specialty, revealing that she knows everything about them. They cook mushrooms, and Azusa finds them delicious, but Halkara suddenly starts laughing, and she can't stop, so Azusa realizes she had accidentally taken a poisonous mushroom. Azusa asks her about its side effects, so Halkara explains it makes people laugh uncontrollably, and makes them extra frank towards others. But Azusa uses her magic to knock Halkara back to her senses, and she apologizes to everyone for her behavior. She presents the mushrooms as an apology, and everyone tells her it's delicious. After that, Azusa shows Halkara how to hunt slimes, which impresses her, but it takes her multiple hits to defeat a single slime. Later that day, they visit the village, and everyone stares at Halkara because of her massive chest, which makes Azusa jealous, but Halkara tells her to be confident in herself. Azusa goes to the Adventurers Guild, where she finds a wanted poster of Halkara, and it offers a prize of 15 million gold to whoever captures her. Azusa notes that the adventurers won't be able to find her, because the wanted poster didn't describe her appearance, but it won't take long for Beels to find them. She tells Laika to take her daughters to safety, but Shala wants to fight with her, and Falfa knows that she's trying to be a good daughter, but it will only make things difficult for Azusa. Laika changes into her dragon form, and takes the girls away, while Azusa hopes that her barrier will keep them safe from Beels. Halkara drinks her energy drink, saying it makes her feel like she can fight all night, and she mentions that she only makes things she can consume herself. She thinks Azusa has also been drinking it, but she explains that she hasn't, and Halkara wonders if she's joking, because there are several bottles on the floor. But she explains that it isn't the time for jokes, and she asks Halkara if Beels is a fly, so she mentions that Beels is known as the Lord of Flies. They soon realize that the fly, which was buzzing around them, was actually the demon Beels, and she was the one who consumed the energy drinks. She changes into her human form, and Azusa asks her why she didn't reveal herself right away. So Beals explains that she wanted to confirm that Halkara is staying there, and she mentions that she enjoys flying around houses in the form of a fly. She tells Halkara that she had to go through great trouble to find her, and Halkara begs for her life, saying she will do anything for Beals. Beals is happy hearing this, but Azusa grabs onto Halkara, saying all deals with her pupil must be made through her. She tells Beals to leave, but she instead asks if Azusa wants to fight her, saying she hasn't fought in a long time. Azusa agrees to fight her fair and square, and they both go outside, where Beals warns her that she will regret her decision. But when she changes into her demon form, she instantly gets shocked, because of the barrier Azusa had placed for her. She reminds Azusa about her promise to fight fair, so she apologizes to her. Despite her bad condition, she still wants to fight Azusa, but she suddenly loses consciousness, so Azusa takes her inside, and uses recovery magic to heal her. But she wonders if it was a good idea, since she's a demon. Beals soon wakes up, and she realizes that Azusa is actually a good person. She mentions that once she recovers, she would like to drink Halkara's energy drink once again, which shocks her, since she thought Beals had almost died because of it, and wanted to get revenge. Beals explains that when she drank it while pulling an all-nighter, she suddenly felt energetic, but she ended up pushing herself, which explains why she got sick. She reveals that the energy drink was also liked by the Demon King, and it became popular among the demons, so she thinks Halkara needs to make more. She apologizes to Azusa for the misunderstanding, but she's just happy that they didn't end up in a pointless fight. Halkara reveals that she's thinking of moving the factory into their continent, because everyone abandoned her in her hometown, and it will also help her stay close to them. Azusa notes that they have enough space, so she can stay with them, and they can all take turns for the cooking. Falfa and Shala ask Beals questions about herself, which she finds cute, and she considers adopting one of them, but Azusa turns down her offer. Halkara wonders if Azusa has had any romantic experiences, but she reveals that she hasn't had any, and Halkara mentions that since she's so young, it's all she wants to talk about. Azusa asks her about her age, so she reveals that she's around 200, which is young for an elf. She asks Falfa and Shala if they like anyone, and they both say they love their mother, which makes Azusa really happy. Laika prepares breakfast for everyone, but before they can enjoy it, she tells them she needs to return to her hometown. Everyone's shocked hearing this, and Azusa asks her if she has any problems, because she thinks of her like a family member, but Laika reveals that she needs to attend her sister's wedding. She mentions that they can join her if they want, so they all leave for the Rocco volcano to attend the wedding. They enjoy the scenery while traveling on Laika's back, but Halkara is about to throw up, so they stop to rest for a bit. They soon resume their journey, and arrive at their destination, where they see red dragons gathering for the event. They're greeted by Laika's juniors from the girls' college, and as they walk around, Halkara accidentally steps on a plate, so a dragon grabs her, thinking she's food. But it lets her go, and they meet Laika's parents, but her father is too loud, so they're forced to cover their ears. Laika introduces them to her elder sister Layla, who's with her groom, and Halkara asks them how they got together. So Layla reveals that they were childhood friends, and when they met again after 8 years, they decided to get married. They suddenly get attacked by another tribe called the Blue Dragons, who live in the Hainth continent and are famous for being ruthless and uncivilized. They use their cold breaths to freeze everything, and their leader Fura mentions that she's there to ruin the wedding because she's older than Layla and she's still single. She mentions that her companions will freeze the volcano, and since the red dragons have no other option, they decide to fight them head-on. It scares Falfa and Shala, but Azusa tells them to stop worrying because she will take care of it. She calls Halkara, who's pretending to be dead, but a dragon almost steps on her, so she decides to start moving. Azusa grabs them, and they start running away, but they get attacked by a dragon, who tries to freeze them, but Azusa uses her fire magic to counter its attack. Laika faces off against Fura, and they start fighting, as Azusa watches them, thinking she shouldn't interfere, because she's an outsider. But a dragon suddenly attacks her, and she has no choice but to fight back. So she kicks his head, knocking him out, and she tells Halkara to take her children to safety, while she prepares to use her full power to protect her family. She takes to the sky, and she rains fire, grabbing everyone's attention. So all the blue dragons surround her, and they attack simultaneously, but she uses her fire magic to defend herself. She beats them up, and they all fall to the ground, as the red dragons realize she's extremely powerful. Fura is shocked, and she wonders how a human can defeat a dragon using physical attacks, so Azusa explains that it's because of her consistency. She kicks Fura, who endures the blow, and she counters with her ice attack. But Azusa realizes that Fura only has one attack, so she uses her fire magic, and she manages to overpower her. While Fura is distracted, Azusa kicks her from above, sending her crashing to the ground, and it scares the other blue dragons, so they all fly away. Laika lifts Azusa, and they all start chanting her name, but she notes that it isn't over yet, because another group of blue dragons is approaching the volcano. On their way, Laika notes that she just wants her sister to have a nice wedding, and Azusa assures her everything will be alright. As they arrive near the volcano, they see blue dragons trapped in a magic circle, which is absorbing their magic. They wonder who trapped them, and Beelze appears, revealing that she was there to enjoy the hot springs. But the blue dragons were causing a disturbance, so she punished them using her demon magic. Azusa is impressed that she was able to defeat 5 blue dragons, but Beelze notes that she's a high-ranking demon who has lived for 3,000 years, so it isn't a big deal for her. She wonders if Azusa can defeat her in a fair fight, but she isn't interested in fighting her, and hugs her instead. Azusa tells Fura to change into her human form for the negotiations, and she cooperates, asking them what they want. So Laika shows her the amount she must pay for all the damages they have caused during the attack, and she can't believe how expensive it is. But Laika mentions that if she doesn't pay, she'll need to stay there forever, so she reluctantly agrees to do it. Azusa thinks they should have a peace treaty where the blue and red dragons will no longer be allowed to fight, but Fura mentions that harassing the red dragons is her life's only purpose. Azusa threatens to detain her if she doesn't accept the treaty, so she agrees to do it. Beelze notes that she and Azusa are witnesses to the treaty, saying there will be serious consequences if anyone breaks it. After that, all the dragons change into their human forms, and they enjoy the rest of the party. Everyone gives their best wishes to the newlywed couple, including Fura, but when Layla jokes that Fura will never get married, she gets angry and curses her. That evening, Laika asks Azusa if she can rest her head on her lap, explaining that her sister used to do it for her whenever she felt nervous, and Azusa agrees to let her do it. Halkara gets drunk, and she passes out, so Beelze carries her, but warns her not to throw up. She invites the others to stay at the hot spring resort, telling them she's staying there, and they accept her invitation. They enjoy the hot spring, and Azusa thinks that they're really like a family. She starts talking about everyone, saying she has 2 children, and Beelze and Laika are like her sisters. But she forgets to mention Halkara, so Azusa tells her she's the troublemaker. Halkara exchanges her cooking day with Azusa, which makes everyone think she's moving out, so they all feel sad. They host a goodbye party for her, but she mentions that she isn't going anywhere, saying she's just looking for a new place to build her factory. Later on, Halkara returns home exhausted, so Azusa becomes worried, telling her not to push herself, but Halkara mentions that she'll be fine after having an energy drink. Azusa tells her to return home before the sun sets, but she mentions that there's a ghost in her factory, so all the locals are afraid to work there, and she needs to do everything herself. Shala notes that since it doesn't leave the factory, it must be a bound spirit, which is staying at the place where it died. Halkara asks Azusa if she can get rid of it, but she mentions that she isn't good at dealing with ghosts. Halkara begs her, saying she'll be forced to run the factory alone if the ghost doesn't leave, so Azusa reluctantly agrees to help, but she mentions that she'll only do it if her helper comes along. She uses her summoning magic to summon Beelze, but she screws up while she's chanting, and Beelze lands in the cold water tub, which makes her angry. She wonders why they called her, so they tell her about the ghost, and she's annoyed because they summon her for such a simple task. But Falfa and Shala show their trust in her abilities, so she agrees to help them. But they tell her that the ghost only appears at night, so she becomes angry, telling them they should have waited until the evening before they summoned her. That evening, they all go to the factory, and Beelze appears to be confident, so Azusa believes she's summoned the right person. Azusa and Halkara are scared, so they all grab each other's hand, forming a chain. Beelze asks Halkara where the ghost appears, so she shows her the room, but Halkara and Azusa are too scared to enter it, and wonder if they can skip it. Beelze takes them inside, and after struggling for a while, she manages to catch the ghost named Rosalie. Halkara asks her what she's doing there, so she reveals that a few hundred years ago, she heard she was getting married off to a noble family. She thought she was selected because of her beauty and good manners, but she realized that her parents were deceiving her because they sold her to a noble family. Halkara wonders if she was well-mannered, since she doesn't look like it, but Rosalie explains that she changed after spending several hundred years as a ghost. She tells them the place belongs to her, and Azusa wonders what they should do next, so Beals suggests erasing Rosalie from existence, but Azusa stops her, thinking it isn't a good solution. Halkara wonders if Rosalie can just move out, but she reveals that she can't, saying she has already tried it several times. But Beals tells her there's a way out, explaining that her spirit will be able to leave if she occupies a living human's body. But it would be better if they choose someone who lacks willpower, and they all believe Halkara is the ideal choice, so they tie her to a chair. Rosalie successfully occupies her body, and Azusa invites her to stay with them because she wants her to be happy. Rosalie is happy hearing this, and she calls Azusa her older sister, saying she will protect her even if it kills her, but Azusa reminds her that she's already dead. After reaching their house, Rosalie tries to return to her original form, but she's unable to get out of Halkara's body. She asks Beals for help, and Laika wonders if having two souls in her body will have a negative effect on Halkara. So Beals mentions that it may lead to her death, but Rosalie doesn't want to harm her, so she tries to take her own life, but Azusa stops her, since it will also kill Halkara. They hold a meeting to discuss the issue, and Laika suggests they should swirl her, since it works when she needs to remove stuck cookies from a jar. So Azusa swirls her, throwing her far away, but it doesn't work, and Laika mentions that hitting the jar from behind might do the trick, so Shala strikes Halkara, but it only hurts her. Laika mentions that she breaks the box as a last resort, so Beals prepares to kill Halkara, but Azusa stops her just in time. Falfa suggests that they should surprise Rosalie, so Azusa and Laika take her high into the sky, and they allow her to fall, but it still doesn't work. After that, they try several other methods, but none of them work, so they try to get her drunk, hoping Halkara will take over the body once she falls asleep. The plan works, and Halkara returns to her body, wondering how she got there. After that, they throw her in cold water, causing Rosalie to leave the body. She apologizes for causing them trouble, and Halkara notes that it will be difficult to get the workers back to the factory, but Azusa comes up with a plan. They present Rosalie as a good ghost, who helps everyone with her powers, so they accept her as part of their town, and she's happy to make new friends. After that, Beals congratulates Azusa because she has been awarded the Demon Medal of Honor. Beals explains that it's an award given to individuals loved by demons who have made remarkable contributions to the society. She thinks Azusa deserves it because she stopped the war between the red and blue dragons, and everyone's thrilled by the news. She seems uninterested, but she decides to accept it after seeing their excitement. Beals reveals that the ceremony will take place in 3 weeks, saying she'll pick them up before it begins. Azusa wonders where it will take place, so Beals reveals that it will be held in the demon territory, and everyone's shocked hearing this. She assures them that they don't need to worry because the demons have changed, so they won't harm people as long as they show manners. Everyone thinks it will be tough for Halkara because she doesn't know how to behave, and she tries to make an excuse to avoid attending the ceremony, but Shala explains that skipping it would be a huge insult to the demons. Rosalie wonders if she's invited, since she's a ghost, so Azusa tells her she will join them because she's part of the family. They realize they'll need a new dress for her, but she mentions that she can't change her outfit. Azusa wonders if there's a shop for ghosts, but Halkara explains that nobody would make one because ghosts don't have money to buy clothes. Shala reveals that she recently became friends with a researcher who knows a lot about ghosts. So they all visit him, and he tells them that ghosts are stuck in the clothes they wore when they were alive because the outfits are tied to their memories. Rosalie thinks they should give up, but Azusa suddenly remembers her special ability, which allows her to create magic, and she spends the whole night working on a spell to create a dress for Rosalie. After several failed attempts, she finally manages to prepare a beautiful dress, and everyone's delighted to see Rosalie wearing it. Beals soon arrives with a Leviathan, which flies in the sky, and it even has a building on it. She shows them the guest room, revealing that it has a large bath, where they meet another Leviathan named Vanya. Beals orders her to return to work, and she explains that the water is good for their skin, but it will melt them if they stay there for too long. Vanya introduces herself to the group, and she mentions that the one they're currently riding on is her elder sister named Fatla. She reveals that they take turns in flying and serving guests, telling everyone she has prepared food for them. Beals tells them they can ask Vanya if they need anything, and Azusa thinks the demons are being too kind to them. So Beals tells her she deserves all the rewards because she stopped the Dragon War, saying her name will go down in history. After that, they enjoy the delicious meal and they all take a warm bath. At night, while everyone else has fallen asleep, Rosalie watches the beautiful sky and she admires its beauty. Halkara also wakes up and she wants to take a bath, but she accidentally goes there. Rosalie thanks her for building the factory because it gave her the chance to leave the place where she died, saying she missed seeing such a beautiful scenery. Halkara notes that they're all a family, saying there's no such thing as a favor between them, and Rosalie is happy hearing this. The next morning, they wonder where Halkara is, and they think she may have stayed in the bath for too long. So they all panic, but they realize she's fine, as she tells them she had just fallen off her bed. Beals shows them the royal capital, as she mentions that they'll first have an audience with the Demon King. She reveals that the ceremony will be held tomorrow, but everyone's afraid to meet the Demon King. On their way, she tells them about the different demon tribes, and we learn that a few of them look like humans, while the others resemble beasts. Azusa wonders if it's necessary to meet the Demon King, and Beals reveals that the award will be given by him, so it's better to meet him before the ceremony. Laika and Halkara are afraid that if they make a mistake, they will suffer a brutal death, but Beals becomes angry, saying she will kill them if they insult her king. The castle is in the form of a maze, because the demons want to confuse the enemies who try to invade them. In the throne room, they find a girl named Pecora, who greets them, and Halkara tells her to move away, because they must meet the Demon King. She mentions that she must hide her true nature to be safe, but she explains that she doesn't have bad intentions, and Pecora is surprised hearing this. But Laika notices that the throne is empty, and Beals reveals that the Demon King is standing before them. Pecora mentions that she doesn't like greeting people from a higher place, so she came down to meet them. Halkara immediately apologizes for her behavior, but she makes another mistake by mispronouncing Pecora's name. But she mentions it's alright, and she tells Halkara to lift her head up, but she gets up too fast and accidentally knocks Pecora out, so everyone freaks out, and Halkara gets arrested. Azusa notes that according to the law, Halkara might get executed, and in the worst case scenario, her whole village will get destroyed. Everyone's scared that they might also get executed, but Azusa notes that according to Beals, they will be spared if the Demon King pardons them after she wakes up. Rosalie comes out of the wall and tells Azusa that there are herbs in the garden, but they wonder how they'll get there. Laika volunteers to get them, and she changes into her small dragon form, which Azusa finds cute. She soon brings the herbs, and Azusa prepares a potion, saying it will wake Pecora up because it's bitter and hard-hitting. They wonder how they'll reach her room, but Vanya suddenly appears, saying Beals sent her there. She gives them a map and an outfit, which Azusa can use to enter the doctor's room. She notes that everyone's in panic, so they won't notice her identity, and she promises to guide her through the rest. On the way, Azusa notes that if they get caught, they'll both get punished, but Vanya notes that she doesn't have a choice, because Beals ordered her to help them. As they try to reach the Demon King, they're stopped by the guards, who ask Azusa for her name, since they already know the real doctor. So Vanya starts to panic, and Azusa is forced to reveal her identity, while Beals pretends to be clueless. They capture Vanya, and try to attack Azusa, but she decides to fight them for the sake of her family, and instantly takes out the guards who attack her. She mentions that she needs to see the Demon King, but their leader tells the guards to use magic, and stop her at any cost, but even their combined ice magic can't hurt her. She wipes the floor with them, but she wonders if she went too far, and Beals notes that when she means business, she can destroy an entire country. They enter the Demon King's room, and Azusa tries to feed her the magic potion, but she suddenly wakes up, because she sensed trouble around her. She asks Azusa what she was trying to feed her, and she mentions that it was just a healing potion, saying she wanted to wake her up, but Pecora notes that it looks like poison. She takes out her weapon, and tells Azusa that she must fight her in a duel to prove her innocence. Pecora explains that if Azusa wins without trying to kill her, it will prove her innocence, but it's all over if she loses. She notes that losing isn't an option because all their lives are on the line, and Pecora suddenly attacks her, but she manages to avoid it, which surprises the Demon King. She mentions that she's a level 99 witch, but she realizes that her hat was cut during the attack. She tries to avoid Pecora's attacks, and she wonders why Azusa isn't attacking her, reminding her that Halkara's life is on the line. So Azusa gets serious, and she mentions that when it comes to protecting her family, she won't show any hesitation. She punches Pecora, who blocks it using her sword, but the impact knocks it off, and she gets pushed back. Azusa notes that the battle is over, but Pecora thinks she can still continue the fight, so Azusa tells her that her sword has been destroyed, and it suddenly shatters. She tells her to spare Halkara, but Pecora surprises her by calling her Big Sis, saying she will do whatever she says. She reveals that it was all a test, because she wanted to find someone stronger than her, who she can respect and adore. After that, Pecora frees Halkara, and she asks Azusa to kiss her on the cheek, saying there's a scene in her favorite book, where the elder sister kisses her younger sister. After slight hesitation, Azusa finally agrees to do it, but they're seen by Halkara and the others, who think they're a couple. Pecora gets angry at Halkara for disturbing them, and she threatens to execute them, but Falfa notes that Azusa has never kissed her, so she gently kisses both her daughters, and hugs the rest of her family. Later at the ceremony, Pecora calls Azusa and Laika to the stage, but she surprises them by inviting Fura as well. She tells Azusa to stroke Fura's horns, which means she submits to her, but she resists, so Pecora tells her if she doesn't cooperate, she'll tell Laika to do it, so she reluctantly accepts. On their way back, they ride Vanya, while Fatla attends to their needs. Azusa wonders when Fura will leave, but she explains that she has submitted herself to Azusa, so she can't leave her. Laika tells her they don't need 2 dragons at their house, so she should order Fura to leave, but she explains that according to their customs, she will need to die if she leaves her master. Vanya suddenly shakes as she remembers a joke, and Fatla accidentally drops honey water on Azusa, but Fura shields her. She orders Fura to act freely when they return home, saying she will give Fura advice if she needs it, but she must live independently since she's free. It makes her cry, and she asks Azusa to pet her head one last time, so Azusa thinks she must have hidden her soft side from everyone. She calls her mama, but Laika suddenly joins them, and she grabs Fura, telling her to stop bothering Azusa like a dog, but she explains that she's a free dragon who gives her all for her mistress. After a few days, Azusa wakes up, and as she's enjoying her morning, she hears Laika and Fura fighting over whose cookies taste better. Rosalie reveals that ever since Fura arrived there, they have been arguing non-stop, but because they can't fight with their fists, they're resolving their disagreement peacefully. Azusa mentions that both their cookies taste great, but they want her to choose one, which makes Halkara wonder why they're extra heated today. So Shala tells her it's because dragons are carnivorous, and they haven't eaten any meat in a while. But Natalie suddenly appears, and she tells them about an outbreak of longhammer boars in the Nilka forest. She explains that the locals can't deal with them, so they were hoping Azusa will take care of it. She doesn't feel the need to defeat monsters, because she already has enough magic stones. But Natalie tells her they aren't monsters, so they won't drop stones, and she mentions that they drop meat instead. Hearing this, Laika and Fura beg their master to take the job, which surprises her, but Halkara tells her they must be starving for meat. They leave for the forest, while Halkara stays behind to take care of the children. Rosalie looks around, and she tells them that if they go straight, they'll find 15 boars, which excites Fura, and she rushes to catch them. But her clothes get caught in the branches, so she takes them off, thinking no one else is there, but she finds people around the river, so she gets embarrassed. After she gets dressed, the boars throw her clothes away, and she's forced to fight them naked, but everyone comes to help her, and they quickly defeat the boars. While they're cooking the meat, they're interrupted by Beals and Vanya, who return Fura's clothes. They reveal that they came to investigate the wild boars and gather food for the demon realm, but since they have already gathered all the meat, it has made their job easier. That evening, Laika and Fura apologize for their behavior, and they mention that they had placed a bet for the contest, where the winner would get to sleep beside Azusa for a night. But she invites both of them to sleep beside her, and she reminds them to be friendly, because they're all sisters. Later that night, she wakes up, but she realizes they aren't in their bed, because they're eating the leftovers from the hunt. The next day, Azusa overhears two women talking about the Highland Witch who's helping people around the world. So she realizes that someone's impersonating her, and she decides to teach the imposter a lesson. They begin their investigation, and Laika thinks a bar could be a good place to gather information. But when they visit the bar, they're surprised by how rude everyone is. The bartender tells them their business wasn't doing great, so they had a change of theme, and they started treating their customers as pigs. She explains that their strategy worked, and she mentions that she knows something about the Highland Witch. But she tells Azusa's group to treat the customers with disrespect, promising to tell them what she knows if they cooperate. Laika and Azusa decide to do it, and they win over all the customers with their disrespectful remarks, so the bartender tells them that they'll find the witch in the north. So they travel north, and they find the imposter, who's just an old lady. Azusa tells everyone she's a fake, and she challenges the imposter to a duel, but she suddenly runs off. They soon capture her, and it turns out to be a girl named Ino, who is pretending to be an old woman. She apologizes for her actions, but Azusa tells her it's okay, since she didn't mean any harm, and Laika realizes she's also a witch. Azusa looks around her house, and finds several creepy objects, while Laika asks Ino if she makes magic potions. So she shows them the pills she made, saying they relieve exhaustion and eye strain, and they even keep the gut healthy. Azusa thinks her products are excellent, saying it would be a big hit if she sold her medicine. But she thinks it isn't wise for a witch to advertise herself carelessly, saying she won't do it unless someone agrees to help her sell them. Laika doesn't understand her, asking her what she wants to accomplish, because her statements are inconsistent. But Azusa notes that she knows how Ino feels, saying Ino wants to be a genius witch who isn't into doing business, but at the same time, she wants to be recognized for her greatness. She admits that she wants to be famous, saying she wants the people to make a statue of her, and Azusa tells her that to achieve her goals, she needs to attract everyone's attention. After that, Ino opens her stall in the local festival, where she sells her magic pills, while Laika and Fura sell their cookies. Ino sends a letter to Azusa later on, thanking her for her help, and she notes that her business has been blooming thanks to their support. We see Azusa preparing breakfast when Shala tells her that Falfa has turned into a slime, which shocks her, thinking Shala must be joking. But she notes that when she woke up, the window was closed, and instead of her older sister, only the slime was present. The slime hugs Azusa's legs, making her realize it's really Falfa. Halkara notes that since she was a spirit, she might have the ability to transform into a slime, but Shala is clueless about it. Azusa thinks it won't be easy to create magic that will transform her back into her human form, and Fura suggests consulting the demons. So Azusa summons Beals, and she again lands straight into the cold water. Azusa tells her that Falfa turned into a slime, but she becomes upset because she thinks Azusa is joking, so Azusa shows her Falfa and tells her everything. Beals hugs Falfa, and Azusa wonders if she knows how to turn her back, but she notes that they should consult a slime for matters involving slimes. She mentions that there's an intelligent slime at the castle who might be able to help them, so Azusa tells everyone to stop worrying, and she leaves for the castle. They soon arrive at their destination, and Beals notes that the intelligent slime likes to stay in quiet places, but it turns out she had forgotten the way, and they end up getting lost. She tells Azusa to stop worrying, since she has been dropping small pieces of bread, but they realize Falfa has been eating them, so they're forced to return to the surface. Picora sees them, and she asks Azusa to kiss her if she wants to know the answers, so she reluctantly kisses her. Picora tells them to check the nearby shed, where they find a hidden passage, which leads them to the slime. It uses a board with writing to communicate, but it can't help them, and tells them to visit the magician slime, who lives in the Timiriana province's tallest mountain. Azusa thanks the slime, and they all go back to rest, planning to continue their quest the next day. The next day, they reach a house on the mountain, where they're greeted by a young girl who's the magician slime, and she reveals that she used transformation magic to change her appearance. They share their problem with her, and she holds Falfa, which makes her realize that her elasticity is different from an ordinary slime. After carefully checking her body, the magician slime mentions that the main problem is Falfa's sleeping position. She explains that Falfa must have damaged a muscle while she was sleeping, which made it difficult for her to maintain her human form, so she turned into a slime. They ask the magician slime if she can turn Falfa back to her human form, but she mentions that her magic only works for a short time, so it won't solve the problem. She tells them to meet the fighter slime, who attained her human form through body movements. They wonder where they can find her, so the magician slime reveals that she's in the southern town called Kenley, where she will participate in a fighting tournament. She mentions that according to the rumor, she's a solitary fighter who seeks only strength, so Azusa decides to participate in the tournament. When they arrive there, they learn that Beals is also participating, and she warns Azusa to be careful, since magic isn't allowed. Both Azusa and Beals easily defeat their opponents, and they reach the semi-finals, where Beals easily defeats the fighter slime, making Azusa worried, since she wanted to ask her about Falfa. But Beals notes that she has the same goal as Azusa, and she promises to negotiate with the fighter slime so that Azusa can focus on their fight. Before their fight, Falfa returns to her original form with Beals' help, and she mentions that they can freely fight without any barriers. As the fight begins, Azusa tries to attack Beals, so she uses her wings to evade the attack. But the audience don't think she's a demon, thinking she's wearing wings and horns because it's stylish. Beals notes that she can't match Azusa's speed, so she decides to attack her weak spot, but since she has so many, she's unable to decide which one to attack. Azusa notes that she can't fly, because she can't use magic, so she will just wait for Beals to attack whenever she's ready. But when she rushes to attack Azusa, she quickly grabs her by her cheeks, revealing it was all a part of her plan. She punches Beals, but she blocks it, and they both try to attack each other, as everyone notes that they appear to be evenly matched. Azusa praises her, and she reveals that she trained hard to prepare for their fight. Azusa tells her she's honored that Beals considers her a worthy opponent, but in reality, she thinks Beals is too weak for her. She hears Falfa, who's confident that her mother will win, so Azusa mentions that she needs to win for her daughter. She dodges Beals' next attack, and she knocks her out with a single blow. So she wins the match, and she asks Beals if she's okay, and she notes that she's fine, but Azusa thinks she must be hurt, so she carries her in her arms. Azusa mentions that she's willing to have a rematch, but she explains that it will be a hassle, so Beals must wait for a while. But Beals tells her that her dream of a peaceful life will be disturbed, because everyone has seen how powerful she actually is. They visit the fighter slime to thank her for her help, but she's sad because she couldn't win the prize money. She asks Azusa to take her as a martial arts student, but she tries to avoid it, so to prove her potential, the slime challenges her to a friendly match. As the fight is about to begin, she senses a dark aura around Azusa, which can only be seen around those who have killed countless slimes. So she freaks out, and she loses consciousness, so Azusa carries her back to her house. When she wakes up, she notes that she no longer wants to become Azusa's student, but Beals suddenly joins them, and the slime begs her to become her teacher. Azusa notes that it might be beneficial to have Beals teach her, because they would always know where to find her, in case the girls ever turn into slimes again. Beals hesitates at first, but everyone begs her to do it, so she decides to become the slime's teacher. A few days later, the girls notice a poster about a musician named Cuckoo, who's coming to their village for the first time. But none of them have heard her name before, except for Fura, who has a big interest in music. They all decide to attend her concert, but they don't like her rock and roll style, so everyone leaves, except Azusa and Fura. Fura notes that her music starts with high notes, but it eventually slows down. But she suddenly falls to the ground, and they think it's part of her act, but they realize she isn't acting. So they take her to their house, where they feed her, and she quickly regains her energy. She takes a bath, and they're all shocked to see her without makeup, because she looks like a normal girl. They wonder if she passes out often, and she confirms that she does, because her work as a musician isn't enough to support her. Fura notes that only a few musicians make good money, and Cuckoo reveals that she wanted to be like them, so she left her hometown 63 years ago, but she couldn't get anywhere with her music career. Azusa tells her to stay with them and relax for a while, but she thinks it's time to quit music and start a new life, since she already has a few offers, but the others realize they aren't respectable jobs. Azusa asks her if she still likes music, and she mentions that she actually loves it. So she advises Cuckoo to stick with it a bit longer, because it would be a shame if she gave up on doing what she loves. Azusa tells her that if she wants to start a new job, she won't stop her, but she invites her to stay with them and reconsider. To celebrate their friendship, Cuckoo tries to sing a song for them, but they find it unbearable. Fura advises her to change her music style to something less scary, but she isn't ready to accept her mistaken change. So Fura uses her lute and sings a song, which everyone finds amazing. Azusa tells her to try and write new lyrics, which are easier to understand, but Cuckoo finds it difficult, so Azusa tells everyone in their family to help her do it. Everyone listens to Laika and Halkara's music, but they don't like it, and they're impressed by Falfa and Shala's performance. Rosalie sings a song called Nothing, where she shares her experience as a ghost, but it makes everyone sad. Cuckoo finally realizes that she was singing about death, when she has never actually died, so she decides to change her music style, and she even abandons her stage name for her real name. She also decides to add all the lyrics in her next song, and once she's done, she thanks everyone and bids them farewell. Azusa tells her that if she's ever in the area, she should visit them because it's also her home. Fura notes that even though she has no musical talent, success in their world doesn't always favor the talented, so she can still be successful. Beals suddenly arrives, and she mentions that it's her day off, so she came to spend it with Falfa and Shala, but she's surprised to see Cuckoo there. Beals asks her to sing, and she thinks it will be a good opportunity for her to see if her new self can survive. So she sings in front of everyone, and Beals loves her performance, so she invites her to perform at their next demon festival, where everyone's invited. Beals tells her that 20,000 people will watch her perform, so she freaks out, and she decides to practice like her life depends on it, asking Azusa if she can stay there for a bit longer. After they reach the Demon Kingdom, Cuckoo goes to see the venue, while the others go shopping. Azusa realizes that Cuckoo looks sad, so she asks her what's wrong, and Cuckoo reveals that she's nervous because the venue is massive. Azusa and Laika try to cheer her up, but she can't let go of the negative thoughts, and Fura thinks she will do fine because she's not the performer she used to be. Fura gets in an argument with Laika, which makes Cuckoo laugh, and Fura tells her that she has done all she could, so all that's left is for the audience to hear her song. Azusa thanks Beals for her help, but she mentions that all she did was give Cuckoo an opportunity, and she will be the one who must seize it. At the festival, Cuckoo impresses everyone with her performance, and she believes it's all thanks to the support of Azusa's family. After that, Beals tells her that she has received several requests from the organizers to make appearances, so she realizes that she can now make a living by playing music. Fura takes Cuckoo's lute, and she plays one of her old songs, to remind her that it's okay to return to her rock and roll music style. She mentions that there's no right answer in life, and she will never lose as long as she doesn't stop trying. Halkara prepares a mushroom party for everyone, and Azusa wonders if the mushrooms are edible, since she messed up last time. So Halkara explains that she was careful in picking only the healthy ones from the forest, so they're safe to eat. Azusa enjoys eating them, but Halkara reveals that the one she's eating is called the poison mushroom, saying it shrinks whoever eats it. So Azusa becomes angry at her, and reminds her that she said they were all safe to eat. She explains that the ones she picked from the forest were safe, but the one she ate was grown in her room. Azusa loses consciousness, and when she wakes up, she has shrunk in size, and looks just like a child. Halkara apologizes for her mistake and assures her that it won't cause any other harm besides shrinking. She rushes to find a solution, and Azusa hopes she can return to her normal self soon. They all find her cute, and Fura lifts her like a child, while Rosalie notes that despite her small size, her soul must weigh the same. Falfa and Shala feed her, and they read her a boring book to make her fall asleep. The next day, Laika prepares breakfast for them, and she tries to make it fancy to suit Azusa's appearance. She asks about Halkara, so Laika reveals that she has isolated herself in her room because she's searching for a way to turn Azusa back to normal. Laika wonders if she can pet Azusa's head, and she allows her to do it since she has already resigned herself. Fura gets jealous, so she also starts petting her head, and soon they start competing over who's doing it better. Azusa struggles to grab a book, so Rosalie helps her, and she wonders if she can comb her hair, so Azusa gives her permission. But they're soon interrupted by Halkara, and Azusa wonders if she has found a solution, but she lowers her head and apologizes since she couldn't find anything. Azusa notes that she has no choice but to ask the demons for help, so she summons Beals, who's surprised to see Azusa, asking her who she is. Azusa tells her the whole story, and she asks for her help, but Beals wonders why she can't stay like that forever, since she would be the most adorable child in the world. But Azusa teases her, saying she will tell everyone that the great demon Beel's lost to a child, so she finally agrees to help her. She promises to find a way to restore Azusa, but she mentions that she will bring Shala and Falfa with them because it will make her happy. They all sleep together in the same bed, and the next day, Azusa stops Beel's from telling Pecora what happened because things will get complicated if she finds out. But they realize she was already waiting for them, which shocks Azusa. She finds Azusa cute, but she wishes to return to her original form, so Pecora reveals that there's a massive tree called the World Tree, and at its top lives a pharmacist who specializes in all kinds of medicine. But she tells them it won't be easy to reach the top, because the World Tree has 108 floors, and on the way, they'll encounter dangerous animals. She tells Vanya to take them to the World Tree, but Fatla decides to tag along, because she's worried about her younger sister. Pecora tells Beels she can't join them, because she has lots of work to do while they're gone, which makes her sad. Azusa mentions that it might be dangerous, so she tells Shala and Falfa to stay back, while she leaves with the Leviathan sisters. They soon arrive at the World Tree, which Fatla and Vanya haven't seen since their school field trips. They enter the tree, and Azusa is shocked to see that it doesn't look like a regular dungeon, because they can pay coins to climb the tree using lifts. Fatla tells her that the 11th and 12th floor are home to the 11th floor wolves and 12th floor wolves, and Azusa thinks their naming system is ridiculous. Vanya brings them food, and they all continue the journey using the lift. They soon arrive at the 10th floor, and they go straight to the 11th floor, where they come across a pack of wolves, and Azusa thinks they must be dangerous. But they turn out to be friendly, since they only encounter strong demons they can't defeat, so their personalities have changed. They start climbing the tree using elevators, and they soon arrive at a hot spring, where they decide to rest, as Azusa notes that the World Tree isn't like she had imagined. Vanya tells her there will be no elevators after the 8th station, which frustrates Azusa. The sisters thank her, because she's the reason why they could go out on a trip together, but she apologizes for dragging them into her mess. Fatla tells her they'll rest on the 84th floor at night, but after that, it will be like a true dungeon with no lodging. They carefully climb their way through the upper floors, where they find sloths and other dangerous animals. They finally arrive at the top floor, and Fatla helps Azusa see the beautiful scenery from above, which makes Vanya emotional, but her sister stops her, since they're still on a job. They finally arrive at the pharmacy, where they ask the pharmacist for medicine to cure Azusa, and she mentions that she has recently found medicine for it. She gives them Eno's pills, which shocks them, because they could have gotten it without all the hassle. Eno also arrives there to deliver her medicine, and she wonders why they didn't use wyverns to reach the top. On their way back, they all ride the wyvern, and Azusa asks Pecora why she didn't tell her about it. Azusa believes she must have also known about the pills, but she claims to be clueless. They all gather as Azusa finally takes her medicine, but she grows out of her clothes, which makes her realize Pecora knew it was going to happen. She punishes Pecora by telling her to take a bath with them, and she feels embarrassed because she has never been in a public bath. Azusa notes that she's the older sister, so she must punish her for her prank, so she pokes at her head. After some time, a new festival arrives in the village, and Laika wonders what it's for. So Shala reveals that it's the village's dance festival, which started around 250 years ago, and everyone dances there. She mentions that it's about offering the fruits of the harvest to the earth god, and praying for a good harvest the next year. She reveals that the celebrations last for 2 days, both on the festival's eve and the day of the festival. Laika wonders if Azusa will participate in it, so she explains that she wants to distance herself, because she doesn't want to attract attention. But she realizes that everyone in her family is excited, so she decides to join them in the festival. She notes that Halkara can make drinks, while Laika can cook food, so she decides to open a cafe called the Witch's House on the festival's eve. Their new uniforms soon arrives, and it looks great on Falfa and Shala, but Halkara's uniform is too tight because of her massive chest. Rosalie thinks they're lucky because she can't wear a uniform, but Azusa uses her magic to prepare a new dress for her. They all present their ideas for their cafe's menu, but Azusa finds them a bit extreme, so she decides to finalize the menu herself. After that, they all decorate the cafe, and Natalie looks forward to seeing their shop at the festival. They distribute the pamphlets of their cafe in the village, and they hope people will show up, but Azusa mentions that even if they don't, she wants everyone to have fun. The next morning, as Azusa wakes up, she sees that a large crowd has already gathered outside their cafe, which surprises her. They realize that people have come even from outside the village, and since they came so early in the morning, everyone decides to open the shop an hour early. The people enjoy spending time at their cafe, realizing they all look beautiful in their uniforms. Fura is jealous that Laika is getting all the attention, and she doesn't want to lose to her, so she tries to impress everyone by carrying multiple dishes at the same time. But she ends up losing her balance, so Rosalie grabs the plates before they break into pieces. She uses her magic to place all the dishes on the tables, and everyone thinks her service is amazing. The customers seem to enjoy both the food and the atmosphere, so Azusa tells everyone to keep up the good work. Shala gets tired after standing for so long, so Azusa tells her to sit at the register. She never thought their shop would be such a success, and Beals suddenly arrives there, praising their cafe. Azusa asks her if she has nothing to do at work, so she reveals that she only came there because she heard about it, asking Azusa why she didn't invite her there. She asks Beals if she wants to help them serve customers, but she notes that she's a demon, so Azusa shouldn't just casually ask for a favor. But she goes through the back door, and comes back wearing the waitress's uniform. She instantly grabs everyone's attention, as they note that she has the intense aura of a queen, and the class of a proper lady. Picora also arrives there, and she starts helping the family, which shocks Azusa, who wonders what she's doing there, because it isn't a job for the Demon King. Azusa realizes that since she's there, Vanya and Fatla must also be helping them out, and her guess is correct, as we see them cooking in the kitchen. The fighter slime appears, and she sees Beals in uniform, which makes her think it's part of her training, so she also decides to help. Ino arrives to distribute samples of her latest supplements, and soon after, Cuckoo comes to entertain the crowd with Fura's help. Azusa looks at them and thinks it's turning into something crazy, but there's nothing they can do besides continuing their job. After a successful day, they finally close the shop at night, and Ino shows her new supplement to Azusa, saying it uses fruit juice to counter the bitterness, but she mentions that they shouldn't spoil the fun by talking about business. After all the guests leave, Azusa notes that they still need to clean up, but they can take a while to rest. She reflects on how her life has changed ever since she got reincarnated, and she notes that she enjoys spending time with her family, but she still wants to live a peaceful life. The next day, Halkara tells everyone that the dance festival's main event is about to begin, so they get excited. Beals mentions that she will show them her demon dance, and Azusa wonders if she has nothing better to do, but Beals tells her to be thankful for all the work she did yesterday. Falfa and Shala thank her for helping them out, and she tells them they can ask for her help anytime they want, as Rosalie notes that she can't resist them, because they're just too cute. Everyone looks forward to the event, and Azusa notes that after 300 years of killing slimes, she finally has people that she calls family. The next day, everyone has breakfast together, and Azusa asks Laika for a ride, revealing that she wants to go to the southern forest to gather herbs, because she wants to act like a witch, and Halkara decides to join them so she can pick up some mushrooms. They head to the southern forest, where they find a rice field, but there's a strange plant that draws Azusa's attention, so her friends tell her it grows red beans, which soften when they're boiled, and she comes up with an idea. They return home, and Azusa decides to cook something sweet for Falfa and Shala, who we see are sleeping. Everyone helps her prepare the food, and they all do their best, but it ends up looking weird. Azusa notes that it isn't supposed to look like that, and when they taste it, they realize it's nothing special, but Fura enjoys it, and she suggests adding moisture to the dough to make it softer. They decide to try again, and after some time, they're finally able to make it right. Falfa and Shala join them, so Azusa tells them to try it, telling them it's called manju. They both find it delicious, telling her she's great at making sweets, and she's overjoyed to hear this. Fura can't stop eating them, and Halkara suggests selling them, while Falfa thinks they should put faces on them to make them look like slimes. They decide to open a shop in the city, and the people think that the snack slimes look cute. Falfa tells them to try it, and they can't believe how delicious it is, so she tells them they can buy more. Azusa is impressed at how she handles the customers, and the snack slimes start selling like hotcakes, as Azusa notes that their business is doing well. The people start talking about her, and they mention that the food and drinks she comes up with are always amazing, so they think it's her specialty. She recalls that she was supposed to act like a witch, but realizes that Falfa and Shala are having fun, so she thinks it's okay. Everyone drinks together because they're happy that they were able to sell all the snack slimes they made, and Halkara suggests trying something new. Azusa asks her what she means, so she notes that they should make stamp cards to encourage the customers to visit them again. She shows them a sample, and Shala recognizes it as the goddess Megamega's virtue stamp card. She notes that Megamega is extremely popular because everyone can see her in person, and Shala mentions that she holds a talk show where she gives her followers blessings. Halkara thinks a miracle will happen if she fills up her stamp card with virtues, and reveals that she gained a stamp by putting the goddess on her energy drinks. Everyone sees a poster which mentions that Megamega will hold an event in the capital, and Shala wants to see her. So Azusa and Halkara take her to the capital, and we learn that the others decided to stay home because they weren't interested in the event. Shala is excited to meet Megamega and reveals that scholars question the existence of gods centuries ago, but they were proven wrong when the gods came down to the world. She adds that the god industry has matured, and Megamega is the one that stands out the most, but Azusa wonders what kind of event she's about to attend. They head to the venue, and Azusa notes that it's like a dinner show. The host mentions that Megamega will now take the stage, and the fans start cheering for her as she appears before them. Azusa recognizes her as the goddess who reincarnated her, and Megamega also remembers her. She tells everyone about the rankings of the gods, revealing that the high-ranking ones unify the worlds, while the lower-ranking gods rule specific worlds. She explains that her duty is to unify, but she wanted to see people smile, so she decided to descend to this world. She notes that her stamp cards will make the world a better place, and tells everyone to mark their cards whenever they perform a good deed, telling them they can also mark the cards of others. She mentions that nothing will happen if all the spaces are filled in, but tells everyone to keep accumulating virtue because it's a task that never ends. Azusa is surprised hearing this, but everyone cheers for Megamega. After her performance, a man tells Azusa that Megamega wants to meet her, so she goes to see her. She wonders why Megamega wants to talk to her, and she's worried that she'll be sent to another world because she wants to stay there with her family. She heads to Megamega's room and tells her she wants to stay in this world, but Megamega mentions that she can stay there for as long as she likes. She reveals that she was demoted to a local administrator because she reincarnated girls into immortal beings, revealing that her superiors saw it as a problem, so they decided to punish her. Azusa thought she descended to this world because she wanted to see people smile, but she reveals that it was a lie. Azusa can't believe it, telling her gods aren't supposed to lie, but she explains that laws are made to be broken. She notes that she wants to make the world a better place, and tells Azusa she gets 2 circles on her card, telling her one of them is for attending her event, while the other one is for keeping her secret. That evening, we see Azusa in her home, and she looks at the card Megamega gave her. Shala marks it as she thanks her for taking her to the capital, and Falfa gives her one to thank her for the snack slimes. Halkara does the same, telling her she deserves it because she created a new specialty for Fura, and Rosalie also draws a circle as she thanks Azusa for everything she's done for her. Laika and Fura fill up her card, and thank her for always supporting them, telling her they can live a peaceful life thanks to her. She promises to return the favor to all of them, thinking she's the happiest witch in the world because she has such an amazing family. Natalie gives Azusa 12,000 gold for the magic stones she brought, but notes that her snack slimes sold out again, telling her she can make a fortune by selling sweets. Natalie shows Falfa and Shala a letter, and they realize it's about the World Spirit Summit. They return home, and Shala explains that the summit is an event where the spirits gather at the Nanteri Lake. Everyone realizes that the sisters are invited because they're slime spirits, and they mention that they want to attend. But Azusa is worried about them, and they reveal that they're allowed to have a guardian, so she decides to go with them. They make their way to the summit, and Azusa realizes that the sisters are ready to meet the other spirits. They reach the Nanteri Lake, and Azusa enjoys the view, but wonders why there are no spirits there, so Shala reveals that the summit will be held at night. They decide to rest until the sun goes down, and the lake suddenly starts shining, so Azusa wakes up the girls. They see spirits from all over the world, and Falfa starts talking to one of them, but Azusa realizes that Shala is shy. So Azusa helps her talk to the other spirits, and she gives them snack slimes as a token of friendship. But Azusa introduces herself as the Highland Witch, and they're all afraid of her because they think she killed the blue dragons and the demons. But she tells them it isn't true, so one of them notes that the rumors are false. But she asks the others about the settlement to the south because it's said to be filled with creatures that are neither alive nor dead. After some time, the spirits say goodbye to each other and they suddenly disappear. Azusa can't believe the summit is over because she thought it hadn't started yet, and a woman suddenly appears from the lake. She asks Azusa what she thought about the event, and she mentions that the spirits just talk to each other, but the woman tells her that's the purpose of the summit. She reveals that it used to be a proper event, but the spirits didn't attend because they weren't interested, so they decided to change the summit. She introduces herself as the droplet spirit Yufu, and reveals that she sent the invitations, but she notes that it's getting late, so she invites everyone to stay in her house. They decide to spend the night with her, and she gives Azusa honey water, telling her she sent the invitations because she wanted to meet her. She reveals that she knows about Azusa's family, and notes that she's the central figure of the family, but she has nobody to lean on. She admits that it's tough, so Yufu thinks she needs a mother, and tells her she has done a wonderful job caring for her family. The next day, Azusa joins the girls, but they realize her dress is wet, so she becomes embarrassed. Yufu explains that she's a droplet spirit, so Azusa will always feel water dripping on her when she touches her. Azusa mentions that it's time to go home, and Azusa notes that after living in this world for 300 years, she now has a mother for the first time. They return home, and Azusa realizes that the demons are there, wondering why Pecora is with them. So she reveals that she heard about the slime snacks, but notes that she won't be outdone, and she gives Azusa the cookies she made. She mentions that they taste amazing, and Pecora is glad that she liked it, but she notes that she needs to leave, revealing that she came just to do that. But Beals explains that they stopped by because they're searching for undead creatures, and Vanya explains that it's the demon's duty to oversee them. Beals notes that the humans might burn the undead, so they need to be taken to the demon kingdom, and Pecora asks Azusa to help them. She refuses to do it, but they tell her the undead will be killed if the humans find them, and her friends think she's terrible because she doesn't care what happens to the undead. So she decides to help and heads outside, where Fatla distributes flyers to everyone, telling them to contact the demons if they meet undead creatures. The fighter slime appears and reveals that she distributed flyers all over the land, so Beals thinks it's only a matter of time before they find the undead. But after some time, Beals mentions that they still haven't received a tip, and Azusa wonders how they can tell if someone is undead. She reads the flyer, realizing that the undead are neither alive nor dead, and she recalls that the spirits gave that description when they talked about the creatures in the southern settlement. So she takes everyone to a village in the south, but notes that she doesn't know the exact location of the undead. They see a lady carrying a basket full of rotten fruits, and they decide to follow her, because they know that the undead like to eat it. She visits a house, and gives the fruits to a girl named Pawn, who mentions that her schedule is a mess because she plays too much. But she tells the lady not to worry, because she still takes care of herself. After the lady leaves, Beals knocks at the door, but Pawn doesn't answer, so Azusa tells her she has a delivery. She rushes to the door, thinking her books have arrived, but she panics as she sees Beals, who asks her if she's undead. She explains that she's a grave security guard, but Beals doesn't believe her, so she threatens to call someone from the temple to purify her. Pawn begs her not to do that, telling her she'll do anything but work, and she allows everyone to enter her house. She reveals that she's been undead for 4 years, and notes that she lived alone in the capital, but she was too lazy to do anything, so she ended up starving to death. But after lying in the moonlight, she suddenly became an undead, and she explains that she's happy because she won't die even if she doesn't work. But she mentions that she feels lonely because she doesn't have anyone to play with. Beals tells her she doesn't have to worry about that because they'll be her neighbors, telling her she needs to move to the demon kingdom where they'll look after her. But she refuses to go there because she thinks they'll force her to work for them. Beals challenges her to play a game, telling her she must go with them if she loses, but Beals ends up getting crushed. So Azusa suggests allowing Pawn to open a shop in the demon kingdom where she can make a living by playing games with people. Pawn likes the idea, and Beals notes that she's okay with it as long as Pawn stays with the demons. Everyone heads to the demon kingdom, and they're glad that Pawn's shop is doing well. We learn that she made a card game using the knowledge she gained from playing games, and her customers appear to be enjoying it. But Azusa wonders why the Leviathan sisters aren't with Beals, so they reveal that she's busy with her job in the Department of Agriculture. Azusa can't imagine her taking her job seriously, so Fatla tells her she can watch Beals while she's working. They head to the Department of Agriculture, where Azusa uses her invisibility spell before entering the building. She sees Beals managing her workers, and thinks she's doing an excellent job, but she tells Vanya the dates on her documents are wrong. She asks the sisters about her daughters, and Azusa can't believe she's calling Falfa and Shala her daughters, but Beals hears her, so she starts looking for her. Fatla pretends that her doll talked, and Beals returns to her office, as the sisters note that they almost got caught. They join her in her office, and Azusa notes that she's bored, but Beals can feel that something's off. She points at Azusa, so she panics, but Fatla explains that it must be because of the new flowers she placed there. Vanya notes that she made lunch for everyone, but Fatla realizes there are 4 servings, so she tells Vanya to take it back. Beals realizes they're hiding something, so she takes a lunchbox and prepares to throw it away, but Azusa is starving, so she begs Beals to give it to her. That evening, Azusa tells her family that Beals' job is boring, but notes that she now sees her in a new light, because she takes her position as minister seriously. Falfa and Shala think she's cool, and she gives everyone food, telling them to eat as much as they want. She notes that she lives in a mansion, and the sisters want to see it, but she explains that she isn't ready to accommodate them. Azusa thinks she's lying, so she becomes upset, and tells everyone to visit her mansion. Azusa's family realizes her house is enormous, and Fura rings the doorbell, so Beals lets them in. They think her mansion looks amazing, and she takes them to the dining hall, where they start eating together. She tells everyone to wait while she makes tea for them, but Azusa wonders why she isn't ordering a maid to do it for her. Everyone finds it strange, because a noble's mansion is supposed to be full of maids, and Azusa tells her to show them around. The sisters want to explore the mansion, and Beals agrees to give them a tour, but tells them not to wander off. She shows everyone her kitchen and bath, but Azusa wonders why they're just going around in circles, so Beals shows them her bedroom. They realize that everything she needs is there, and Azusa asks her why she doesn't use the other rooms. The sisters want to see the second floor, and she tries to stop them, but they open a door, and they're surprised to see that it's full of junk. Beals tells everyone the truth, revealing that the Demon King gave her the mansion when she became the minister, but it has too much space, so she only uses the first floor. She reveals that she was born a commoner, and she doesn't know what to do with the mansion, because she's used to living a simple life. Laika wants to clean the mansion, and Beals tells her it will take days to finish the task, but she mentions that she has a plan. She challenges Fura to a duel, telling her that the one who does a better job cleaning wins the match, and Fura agrees to fight her. She heads to the 3rd floor, and Laika tells Rosalie to serve as their referee, before heading off to clean the 2nd floor. Beals wonders where the sisters are, and how Kara mentions that they went to the garden, but Beals realizes they're in danger. They head to the garden, but Azusa realizes it's actually a forest, and Beals notes that she never touched it, so the plants just kept growing. They decide to split up to look for the girls, but Beals tells everyone to be careful, because there are plants that attack animals. Azusa tells Halkara to stay there, because she's afraid that the plants in the forest will attack her, and she starts looking for the sisters. A boar suddenly passes by, and she can't believe there are wild beasts in the forest, but a plant approaches her, and it starts talking about the boar. But it runs away as it sees her, and she's surprised that a plant can move and talk. But we see Beals manage to find the girls, and they're glad to be reunited with Azusa. We see Laika and Fura arguing over who won the duel, and Rosalie can't decide who the winner is, so she just tells them it's a draw. The sisters reveal that they got lost, so Azusa tells them not to wander off again, and they apologize for misbehaving. Azusa heads to Ino's shop, and notes that she's happy for her, because she's no longer holed up in a cave. Halkara checks out her products, but Ino thinks she'll steal her ideas, so they start to argue. Azusa stops them, and Ino gives her the mandrake pills she asked for. We learn that they're usually made using 3-year-old mandrakes, but she used 10-year-olds for Azusa's pills, so their quality is excellent. She notes that she plans to make super high-quality medicine using 300-year-old mandrakes, saying it's every witch's dream. but she mentions that the 300-year-old mandrakes can move and speak on their own, and Azusa remembers the plant she saw in the forest. She tells Ino about it, but she mentions that they need permission to find it because it's in Beelz's garden. But Ino immediately closes her shop and flies away, as Azusa wonders why 300-year-old mandrakes are so special. Halkara notes that she'll never touch it because it talks and moves on its own, revealing that they need to crush it to turn it into medicine. Azusa panics hearing this and begs Fura to take them to Beelz. Azusa tells Beelz about the situation and tells her to protect the mandrake, but they suddenly hear people outside. They see an army of witches at the gate, and Ino explains that they're all there for the 300-year-old mandrake, revealing that they agreed to share it after they find it. She tells them to begin the operation, so they force the gate open, and Azusa tells her to stop, but she explains that she needs to do it to make the best medicine in the world. They start searching the garden, while Azusa and the others rush to save the mandrake, but Halkara suddenly gets caught. A plant tries to melt her clothes, but Azusa saves her and uses magic to repair her clothes. Halkara mentions that there's no sign of the mandrake passing through there, and notes that a nearby tree has thick roots, which will prevent anything from moving underground. So Azusa realizes they can rule out the areas with giant trees, but we see Ino hiding, and she's glad she followed them. They reach an open area, but Ino suddenly appears, and they realize she's been following them. She reveals that a 300-year-old mandrake is every witch's dream, so she'll do whatever it takes to catch it. But Azusa mentions that it isn't just an ordinary plant, because it can move and talk like a human. Ino calls the other witches, and they surround Azusa, who realizes that she's vastly outnumbered. But Halkara calls out to the mandrake, and explains that Azusa is the only one who can save it, since the witches want to turn it into medicine. So it rushes to her side, and as it comes out of the ground, everyone's surprised to see that it's a girl. Azusa mentions that she'll protect the girl, asking Ino if she'll crush her just to make medicine. She realizes that it's a terrible thing to do, because the girl looks human, revealing that she was expecting the mandrake to have a monstrous form. She realizes that the witches don't want to kill the girl, so she tells Azusa she can have her, but the girl gives Ino her leaf, telling her she can regrow it. So Ino accepts it, and she promises never to bother the girl again. The witches are happy to see the leaf, but Beelz gives them an invoice, telling them to pay for the damage they've done, and she threatens to use other measures if they fail to pay. After that, Azusa tells Halkara she's the MVP, because they couldn't have saved the girl if she didn't call her out. She notes that elves are reliable when it comes to plants, but the girl reveals that she hates elves, because they always pick plants, so Azusa realizes they're natural enemies. Beelz considers returning the girl to the garden, but she notes that she isn't getting enough sunlight and nutrition while she's there. Azusa invites her to join her family, revealing that she has a field in her yard, so she can get all the sunlight and nutrition she needs. She decides to give it a try, and they prepare to leave the mansion, but she notes that she doesn't have a name. So everyone tries to name her, but they come up with ridiculous names, and Azusa asks her what she likes. So she reveals that she likes sand, and Azusa decides to name her Sandra. As Fura flies them home, Azusa tells Sandra to get along with her family, telling her it's okay to argue with them, but they must always make up in the end. That evening, Sandra meets the sisters, and Rosalie thinks they're about the same age, but Azusa knows that Sandra is older than them. Everyone has dinner together, but Sandra reveals that she just needs water and sunlight to survive, and she mentions that she wants to sleep in the vegetable garden. Azusa realizes that the girls aren't eating their veggies, and Sandra notes that she can't blame them, because the vegetables are disgusting. She reveals that she can tell since she's a plant, but she tells Azusa not to be sad, because she can help her improve the quality of her food. She gives everyone tips for planting vegetables, and uses her secret method to distribute nutrients to the plants. And when it's finally time to harvest, she mentions that the veggies look happy. They cook the vegetables they harvested, and everyone thinks it looks delicious, but the sisters still don't want to eat it. Azusa tells them to give it a try, and Sandra notes that it was made with love, so the girls decide to try it, and they find it sweet. They have carrot cakes as dessert, and everyone enjoys the food, as Azusa thanks Sandra for her tips, telling her she's glad to have her in the family. The sisters teach Sandra how to write, and she tries to write the word apple, but they tell her she got it wrong. Azusa feels like she has a new daughter, but Sandra tells her to stop acting weird. She leaves to do laundry, and uses her wind magic to clean the clothes. She hangs them to let them dry, but Shala suddenly interrupts her, telling her she wants to go to school with Falfa and Sandra because she thinks they still have much to learn. We see them introducing themselves to their classmates as Azusa watches them in secret, hoping they'll fit in. The teacher gives them math problems, and Falfa manages to solve all of them, but the teacher can't believe it because they were difficult problems. Everyone realizes she's a genius, and Azusa notes that she's already standing out. During their PE class, Shala passes the ball, but she accidentally throws it too hard, so Falfa tells her to control her strength. A boy wants to receive the ball, so Shala passes it to him, and he tries to catch it, but the force pushes him back. The boys think Sandra is an easy target, so one of them throws it to her, but she sinks into the ground. Everyone wonders how she did it, telling her they want to try it, and Azusa realizes that they're all getting attention. A few days later, Azusa tells Yufu that the sisters have already graduated because the teacher had nothing left to teach them. Azusa eats with Yufu and notes that the food is delicious, but she suddenly starts shrinking as Yufu reveals that she used a gnome maker mushroom. But she apologizes for using it because she didn't know that it causes humans to shrink. She asks Azusa if she can be her mother for a while, telling her it will help her understand how the sisters feel. But she realizes that Azusa is wet since she's touching her, so she puts her down. Azusa knows that Yufu just wants to have a young daughter, and she asks for a favor. She notes that she wants Sandra to be her sister, telling her she just needs to pretend that Yufu is their mother. She lifts Sandra and starts hugging her, and she feels calm because she's getting moisture from Yufu. She agrees to be Azusa's sister, and they play pretend, as Sandra notes that she'll be a great cedar tree. Azusa tries talking to her, but she doesn't respond, so Azusa tells her to say something, but she explains that trees are silent. But Azusa tells her it's no fun, so she agrees to talk, and Azusa tries to start a conversation with her. But she tells the humans to prepare themselves, because she'll be sending plenty of pollen next year. Azusa wonders why she sounds threatening, so she reveals that cedar trees don't like talking to people. That evening, Azusa takes a bath with Yufu, who notes that Sandra doesn't take baths because it will cause her roots to rot. Yufu mentions that she's excited to see Azusa grow up, and she notes that she wants to be a witch, but they wonder what the future holds for Sandra. The next day, they head to the town, where they shop together, but Sandra notes that she doesn't like being around people, but Yufu tells her not to worry because she's there to protect her. They head to a clothes store, where the shopkeeper takes a liking to the girls, and Yufu tells her to find clothes for them. They both try clothes on, and Yufu thinks they're too cute, so she buys all the outfits for them. After that, Yufu tells the girls to wait for her, and she leaves to drop the items at their home. But kidnappers suddenly appear behind them, and the girls are taken away. The kidnappers think they're from rich families because their outfits look expensive, and they think they can make a fortune by demanding ransom money. They take the girls to their base, but Azusa suddenly breaks her handcuffs and beats them up. She frees Sandra, telling her to wait while she takes out the kidnappers, and she bursts through the door. The kidnappers are surprised to see her there, and she easily takes them out, but a man takes Sandra hostage, threatening to kill her if Azusa doesn't surrender. He suddenly gets blown away by a water spell, and Yufu appears before the girls, telling them she's glad that they're safe. After that, the guards arrest the kidnappers, and Azusa thanks Yufu for saving them, telling her she did her best to protect Sandra. Yufu calls her a good sister, and they mention that they both had fun, but Azusa doesn't want to do it again. Azusa returns home, and we see that she's back to normal, but she notes that she had a hard time last night because everyone wanted to play with her while she was little. The sisters teach Sandra how to write again, and they tell her she's doing a great job. Shala notes that she should show it to everyone at school, but she mentions that she doesn't want to go there anymore. She explains that she can just learn from the sisters, telling them she wants to spend more time with them. Azusa becomes happy hearing this, but Sandra asks her why she's laughing, telling the sisters to give her the next lesson. We see Laika as she finishes doing the laundry, and as she looks at the house, she recalls the first fight she had with Azusa, thinking it's an embarrassing memory. The fighter slime visits the house, and she starts sparring with Laika. Sandra notes that plants are more peaceful than animals, because they don't fight each other, and she wonders why the fighter slime is training with Laika. So Azusa explains that the fighter slime is preparing for a martial arts contest, and we learn that she's in it for the money, because the prize is worth 30 million gold. She mentions that she'll start fighting seriously, and she activates her secret technique, but she just keeps spamming low kicks, and Azusa feels like she's watching a fighting game. Laika counters with her fire breath, which sets the fighter's slime on fire, so she tries to put it out, but she ends up rolling down the hill. Everyone wonders if she's okay, and they see that she has transformed into her slime form. She reveals that she broke her back, so she can't return to her original form, and Rosalie reminds her that the contest is 5 days away. Laika blames herself for what happened, but the fighter's slime mentions that it's okay, because she can still enter the tournament in her current form. Everyone thinks she'll get destroyed, but Laika decides to enter the tournament with her, telling everyone she'll be known as the Slimemancer. We see everyone in a coliseum, where the host announces that Laika is about to fight, but her opponent looks down on her because he thinks she's weak. But the fighter's slime charges in and uses her secret technique to defeat him. Everyone congratulates her for winning her first match, but they realize she isn't talking, and Laika notes that the slime is looking forward to her next fight. They leave to go to bed, and Azusa realizes that they're taking the tournament seriously. We see that they made it to the final round, but Azusa isn't impressed because they cheesed every fight to get there. Their next opponent is an armored knight, who notes that their cheap tactics won't work on him. The fighter slime charges in and tries to attack his legs, but it doesn't work, so everyone thinks she's in trouble. But Laika activates her ultimate technique, and the fighter's slime enters the knight's armor. He suddenly starts struggling, and he falls to the ground, as Fura realizes that she stopped him from breathing. Laika and the fighter's slime win the tournament, but Azusa notes that they didn't use martial arts to defeat their opponents. After that, we see that the fighter's slime has received the prize money, and everyone congratulates her for winning the contest. She notes that she can finally fulfill her greatest dream as a martial artist, but she mentions that she needs to set off to train, telling everyone to call her if there's another contest with prize money. Azusa notes that they should head back home, but she realizes that Fura is looking at the mountains, and she reveals that her hometown is nearby. So they decide to go there, but Fura is worried that everyone will think she's a disgrace because she's submitted to Azusa, revealing that power is everything for blue dragons. She wonders why Laika is behind them, and Azusa reminds her that the blue dragons are her enemy, but she explains that she just wants to be with Azusa. They reach Fura's hometown, but they realize it's extremely cold, and they head to her house, where they meet her parents. They reveal that they were worried about Fura because they haven't heard from her for a while, and they know she lost to a red dragon. But they tell her it's okay, because it's normal to fight people who make her angry, so Azusa and Laika realize they aren't normal parents. She introduces them to Azusa, telling them she's her master, and they both look forward to fighting her, because they want to see if she's stronger than them. Fura tells them about Laika, and they know she's a red dragon, so they also want to fight her. The other villagers meet Azusa, and they all want to test her strength, because they know that she's Fura's master. She doesn't want to take them on, but Fura explains that they might start stalking her if she doesn't fight them, so she realizes that she needs to defeat them. She sends one of them flying, but everyone wants to challenge her, so she takes them out and ends up defeating the best fighters in the village. Laika wants to fight her because she wants to see if she has gotten stronger, and Azusa accepts her challenge, telling her she won't go easy on her. She transforms into her dragon form and starts fighting Azusa, who recalls that she became happier after their first fight because Laika became a member of her family. She dodges Laika's flames and unleashes a blast of magic to finish her off. After the fight, we see Fura telling Azusa that everyone in the village has accepted her. Laika notes that she's starting to feel ashamed because she challenged Azusa to a duel, but Azusa tells her it's nothing to be embarrassed about. But Fura tells her she should be ashamed of herself because Azusa easily destroyed her, so they start arguing with each other again. Natalie visits Azusa and shows her an invitation to a matchmaking party, which will be held in a village called Tazine. Natalie notes that it's been struggling with its declining population, so the guild officials pushed her to send girls to the party, and she begs Azusa to attend. She agrees to do it, and Natalie suggests bringing Halkara and Fura with them, revealing that she'll also be attending the party because she wants to find a boyfriend. As they head to Tazine, Halkara and Fura mention that they aren't interested in the party, but Natalie tells them about her plan, telling them they should work together to find good men. They reach Tazine's shopping district, but they realize that it's a deserted town because of its declining population. They head to the party, but they're disappointed by how ugly the men are, so they decide to go sightseeing instead. They visit a famous temple, where the people worship the pine spirit Misjanti, who's known to bless marriages, but they wonder why it's still in excellent condition, because the village is falling apart. Azusa approaches a girl, who can't believe she can see her, because she's supposed to be invisible to humans. She introduces herself as Misjanti, and notes that mediating marriages is her job, but fewer couples have been getting married in the village, so her business isn't doing well. Halkara and Natalie can't see her, but Fura tells her she looks sad, and she picks her up, while Azusa tells her to stop hiding her presence. So Misjanti makes herself visible, and tells everyone to get Fura away from her. Natalie wonders if she can help her find the perfect partner, but Misjanti explains that she can't, because her job is only to mediate marriages. She tells Natalie about the matchmaking party, but Azusa notes that they already went there, and Misjanti wonders why it didn't work out. So she decides to check it out, and she realizes the men are all old. Natalie mentions that they should leave, but Misjanti begs them to help her, because her temple is doomed if nobody gets married soon. But Azusa mentions that they don't have plans to get married, so Misjanti suggests holding a sister wedding instead. Misjanti heads to their home, where she tells the twins about the sister wedding, explaining that it's a ceremony to promise that they'll always stay close as sisters. Falfa agrees to do it because she wants to wear a wedding dress, but Shala also wants to wear it, so they start to argue. Misjanti mentions that she has a plan, telling them both to wear suits first, then change to their dresses in the second half of the ceremony. They decide to go with her plan, but she wonders who Azusa will invite to the wedding, so she realizes that she needs to tell her friends about it. Beals is shocked to learn about the wedding, but Azusa tells her to relax, because they're just promising to stay close as sisters. Beals is glad that they won't marry anyone, and notes that she will come to the wedding. As everyone prepares on the day, Azusa notes that she'll be the receptionist, but they see Ino selling her forest drink to the guests. She tells everyone it's better than Halkara's energy drink, so she becomes angry, and notes that Ino's drink isn't healthy, so they start to argue. After that, Beals arrives for the wedding, as Azusa realizes that she looks different, and she reveals that she's wearing her new dress. Pecora tells Azusa they should also have a sister wedding, but she mentions that she isn't interested, and Natalie arrives with a net, telling her she'll catch the bouquet during the toss. Everyone's excited for the wedding, but Azusa wonders why the demons are sitting in the family section, so Pecora tells her they're like family now. The twins walk down the aisle, and Misjanti begins the ceremony, telling them to put rings on each other's fingers. The guests are happy for them, and Misjanti calls Azusa, telling her she has an important job to do. The twins wear their gowns, and she joins them as they walk down the aisle again, as Misjanti tells everyone she's their mother. The twins recall the moments they spent together, and they're glad that they met Azusa, because she changed their lives by bringing them happiness. Shala thanks her for always staying by their side, and they both kiss her, as the guests clap their hands. After that, Azusa thanks Misjanti for making the wedding successful, and she's glad that she was able to make everyone happy. They return to their home, and the twins plant a pine sapling, which Misjanti gave them. Azusa wishes it would grow into a giant tree, but after 3 days, it becomes ridiculously massive, and she realizes that it's getting in the way. Sandra doesn't like it, because it's taking the nutrients she needs from the soil, but Falfa sees a cabin above them, and they realize that it belongs to Misjanti. She reveals that it's her temple's new branch, and explains that she made the sapling grow in 3 days, so that the people will become curious and visit her. But Azusa is upset, telling her to transfer her temple, because it's getting in their way, so she places it in the nearby village. Azusa's family heads to the southern beach, where everyone starts having fun, but Halkara and Fura suddenly get electrocuted, so Laika wonders what happened. They reveal that they got stung by jellyfish, and Azusa realizes they're everywhere, so everyone stays away from the water. Halkara and Azusa see an artist, and they ask her what she's drawing, so she reveals that it's the sea, but they realize that her painting looks creepy. She shows them her other illustrations, which also look scary, and she explains that it's the reason why they don't sell well. She introduces herself as Kuralina, revealing that she's a jellyfish spirit, and Azusa tells her they want to swim, but jellyfish infest the water. She wonders if Kuralina can make them go away, but she explains that she can't, because the jellyfish don't think and just go with the flow. but she mentions that she can make them glow, and everyone wants to see it, so she prepares to use her powers, but she notes that she forgot how to do it. Everyone's disappointed hearing this, but she tells them she can talk to the wave spirit to make the jellyfish move if they agree to become her models for her next drawings. They agree to her condition, so she visits the wave spirit, who uses her powers to make the jellyfish go away. Azusa's family starts swimming, and they enjoy their time together, while Kuralina draws pictures of them. After that, Azusa asks Kuralina if her drawings turned out fine, and she thinks they're okay, asking everyone if she can display them in her exhibit. Azusa wonders if they can attend the exhibit because they want to see her illustrations, so Kuralina gives her tickets, telling her to invite people who enjoy works of art. Laika notes that the demons have a deep knowledge of art, so Azusa decides to invite them, and Kuralina finally remembers how to use her powers. She makes the jellyfish glow, and notes that they're insignificant creatures, but she wants everyone to keep them in mind. A few days later, Azusa's family heads to Kuralina's house, and the demons arrive with the fighter slime, and they check out the exhibit, but they realize that they look terrible in the drawings. Everyone's depressed as they see the paintings, and Kuralina reveals that jellyfish are transparent, so they can spot things the others can't see. Azusa wonders why her drawings are gloomy, so she explains that she's trying to express the darkness and emptiness in humans, and Beals wonders why there are pyramids in one of the paintings. Kuralina tells her where she drew it, and Beals decides to check it out, revealing that she's searching for the ancient civilization known as Sasa. She reveals that it disappeared 5,000 years ago, and the demons are investigating it because they think evil spirits are hiding there. She convinces Azusa to join them, and Rosalie volunteers to help them, telling them not to worry about her because she's a ghost. They head to a forest, and we see that the fighter slime has decided to join them because she wants to find treasure in the ancient ruins. A snake suddenly attacks them, and Pecora knocks it down, but another monster appears, so the fighter slime starts spamming low kicks. Azusa wonders if Beals taught her the cheap tactic, but she reveals that she just taught her how to avoid taxes, and the fighter slime defeats the monster, which drops a gem. She thinks she can sell it for profit, so Azusa realizes that she's obsessed with money, and Rosalie thinks she's useless because she can't do anything to help them. They continue to explore the woods, and Beals notes that they've reached the entrance to Sasa, telling everyone she can sense a barrier, so Pecora uses her magic to dispel it. They see the pyramids in Kuralina's painting, and Rosalie notes that it looks lively, but Azusa wonders why she just said that, because the place is empty. They suddenly hear voices telling them to go home, so Azusa freaks out, and the demons think it's the evil spirits. But Rosalie starts talking to them, and tells them she's with good people, so they decide to send their representative to talk to them. Countless spirits suddenly appear, so Azusa loses it, but their representative Nana introduces herself as their queen's chief maid. She reveals that a plague wiped out their kingdom 5,000 years ago, and they weren't happy with how they met their end, so they turned into evil spirits. But Beals wonders why they put up a barrier and went into hiding, and Nana realizes that they no longer need to isolate themselves. So Pecora wonders if they want to have diplomatic relations with the demons, but Nana explains that their queen Mune has been a shut-in for over 2,000 years, so they can't interact with other nations. She explains that Mune thinks everyone is lame because they don't share her interests, so she decided to lock herself up in her tomb. Nana reveals that they tried to talk to her, but she attacked them when they entered her tomb, and Pecora thinks she can convince her. They prepare to enter her tomb, and Nana mentions that she has prepared graves for them, but Azusa is determined to make it back alive. They enter the tomb, and we learn that they plan to make Rosalie befriend Mune, so that she'll stop being a shut-in. But Rosalie is worried that it won't work, because she's just a commoner, so Pecora tells her it doesn't matter, since status has nothing to do with friendship. Azusa thinks she'll get along with Mune, telling her she believes in her, and Rosalie is determined to make their plan work. A sand golem suddenly appears, and it tries to punch her, but its attack goes right through her. Azusa destroys it in one hit, and they suddenly get surrounded by more of them, so everyone fights to take them down. Beals notes that they were made with magic, and Rosalie sees bread on the floor, wondering why it's still warm. Pecora tells everyone it's been sterilized with magic, so they realize that Mune placed it there, and Beals notes that they need to play by her rules. They start exploring the tomb as they take down the monsters in their path and avoid the traps along the way. They later become exhausted, and Pecora wonders if they'll ever find Mune, but Rosalie mentions that she might know the way, because she can sense Mune's presence. She leads everyone down a corridor, but a Cerberus suddenly blocks their path, and Azusa thinks it's a boss monster. But they realize that it's glitching, and Azusa defeats it with a finger flick, telling everyone they're inside a game created by Mune. She notes that the end of the corridor hasn't been completed yet, and the fighter slime gets stuck in the wall, telling everyone she accidentally slipped into it. Rosalie thinks Mune is on the other side, so they walk through the wall and reach a strange room, where they see her using her computer to create the dungeon. She wonders how they got there, but she doesn't seem to care, and tells them to relax, as they realize that she has a strange personality. She mentions that she's speaking the divine language, and notes that she'll demonstrate it, telling Azusa to pretend she's shooting an arrow at her. So she follows her instructions, and Mune plays dead, saying that's how it works, but Azusa tells her it has nothing to do with language. Mune is glad that she called her out, and Pecora realizes that she has a physical form, so she explains that she put a body in her coffin and possessed it after her death. She knows that Rosalie is also a spirit, but she isn't from her kingdom, and she explains that she's there to bring her back, revealing that Nana told her about the problem. But Mune mentions that Nana is the worst, revealing that she hates her because she gave her a banana to write with, but Nana took her joke seriously and didn't even call her out. Everyone realizes that she's difficult to deal with, and she notes that her subjects don't speak the divine language, so she finds them boring. Rosalie tells her to go out and see them, but she mentions that she feels lonely because she has no friends. So Rosalie tells her they can be friends, and notes that she's been alone since she died, so she can understand how Mune feels. Mune decides to be her friend, and tells Rosalie she can be casual with her, so she calls her by her name. But Mune tells her to address her as Her Majesty, so Rosalie tells her that's not what she said seconds ago, and Mune is glad that she called her out. After that, Mune leaves her tomb, and the kingdom enters into diplomatic relations with the demon realm. Nana is glad that their queen is back, and Azusa tells her to call Mune out if she cracks a joke, but Nana notes that she doesn't even find her jokes funny. Mune is upset hearing this, but Rosalie tells her it's true, telling her she needs to work on her jokes. Azusa's family returns home, and Halkara reveals that she received the ultimate fertilizer for plants, telling Azusa she wants to try it on Sandra. She notes that the fertilizer looks tasty, so they head outside, and Halkara pours it on her head. She mentions that it's delicious, but she suddenly grows in size, and everyone realizes that she has turned into a woman. Halkara begs them to forgive her, because she forgot to dilute the fertilizer, and she doesn't know if Sandra will return to normal. Halkara gives her clothes, but she notes that they're too tight, and the twins realize that she also got smarter, so they have nothing left to teach her. She asks Halkara to show her a shop that sells fertilizers, and Azusa decides to go with them, reminding her that she's supposed to be her mother. But she mentions that it's embarrassing, because she's no longer a kid, and Azusa realizes that she has matured. Sandra and Halkara walk around the town, while Fura and Azusa follow them from behind, and Sandra goes into a clothing store, where she tries on a shirt. But Azusa tells her to pick something else, because it's too revealing, so she gets a sweater instead. But Azusa realizes that she still stands out, and a boy suddenly tries to flirt with her, but she rejects him on the spot, telling him he isn't her type. Halkara thinks she's amazing, but she mentions that she wants to find a good man, and she sees an oak tree, telling everyone it's her type. Halkara mentions that it's over 400 years old, and she can understand why Sandra likes it, because it has a grown-up appeal. Sandra gives Azusa flowers to show her gratitude, because she has done so much for her, and she's glad that Sandra grew up to be a good girl. The next day, everyone realizes that Sandra is back to normal, because the effect of the fertilizer wore off. Azusa asks her what she wants to do with the remaining fertilizer, so she notes that she'll keep it for special occasions, telling everyone she'll use it when she finds a good man. We see Azusa watering Sandra, but she realizes she's out of water, so she heads to the well. But Pecora suddenly appears, and she tells everyone she has presents for them. She gives Rosalie a cursed ring, and notes that she has a magic item for Laika, which can turn mountains into volcanoes. Fura receives a charm that can summon Blizzard, and the twins are given books from the demon's library, which Shala finds interesting. Pecora gives Halkara a shop in the land of demons, and Azusa wonders why none of her gifts are normal, but Pecora gives her a bag of cookies. Azusa notes that they need to repay her for the gifts she gave them, and she mentions that she's about to have her birthday, telling everyone she wants them to attend. Azusa heads to Pecora's castle, where she sings a song about darkness and tells everyone to recognize her as the Demon King. They all cheer for her, and she welcomes them to her birthday party, telling them she has a partner for her next song. Azusa wonders who she's talking about, and she's surprised to see Beelz, who joins Pecora as she sings a song about dark magic. After that, everyone gathers for a banquet, and Beelz tells Azusa that Pecora forced her to perform, but Azusa just tells her she did a great job. Pecora tells everyone to enjoy her party before taking her leave, and Azusa prepares to go home, but Fatla stops her, telling her Pecora wants to have dinner with her. She heads to Pecora's private dinner table, where they enjoy their time together, and she asks for her birthday wish. So she mentions that she just wants to celebrate her birthday with Azusa, telling her she wants to spend 5 days with her. Vanya gives them the main dish, and Azusa tastes it, realizing it's delicious, but she suddenly transforms into a fox, as Pecora reveals that her wish is to snuggle her. Azusa realizes that the food transformed her, but Pecora notes that she'll be back to normal after 5 days, telling her to join her for the night. That evening, we see Pecora hugging Azusa's tail, but she suddenly starts craving food, and she mentions that she wants Baraga. But Pecora doesn't know what that is, and Azusa notes that she can't control her urges because she turned into a fox. She leaves to look for Baraga and heads to the kitchen, where she sees Vanya, but she also doesn't recognize that food. She realizes that Azusa isn't acting like her usual self because of the food she gave her, and Azusa continues searching for Baraga, as Vanya assures her that the effect is only temporary. She starts pestering everyone, and the guards sound the alarm, thinking she's an intruder. One of the 4 heavenly kings named Servan tells her to surrender, but she easily defeats him, and the guards can't believe it, wondering what they can do to stop her. A mage blocks her path and summons his legendary beast to fight her, but she kills it with a single hit and defeats the other heavenly kings. Beelz stops her, but starts laughing at her because she looks ridiculous, and she charges in, but Beelz restrains her while Fatla gives her food. She calms down as she eats it, thinking it's Baraga, but Beelz explains that it's a processed bean food called Barawa, which the fox beasts in the town enjoy eating. Pecora realizes that Azusa damaged the castle, and Beelz tells her the 4 heavenly kings lost confidence because they didn't stand a chance. Pecora thinks it's a good thing, because they were able to find problems with their defense system, but she apologizes for causing trouble for everyone. Beelz approaches Azusa, who thinks she's angry at her, but she just tells her she looks cute, and they all end up snuggling with her for the rest of the night. Azusa sees Miss Janty panicking, because a temple opened next to her branch, and Azusa realizes that it belongs to Mega Mega. Miss Janty notes that she hates Mega Mega because she's ruining her business, but Azusa tells her to calm down. They head to Azusa's house, where they see Mega Mega enjoying tea with the twins, and she gives Falfa a stamp on her virtue card. She reveals that she's been waiting for Azusa because she wanted to tell her about the new temple, and she recognizes Miss Janty as the Pine Spirit. She approaches Mega Mega, and Azusa thinks they're about to fight, but she suddenly bows to her, hoping they can get along as neighbors. She starts complimenting her, but notes that she has a favor to ask, telling Mega Mega to take her followers to her temple if they want to get married. Mega Mega suggests making wedding count as a virtue for the stamp card, and Miss Janty thinks it's a great idea, telling her she's looking forward to doing collabs with her. A week later, Mega Mega tells everyone she now has a rival, asking Azusa if she knows about Ninten. Shala knows that she's a goddess who has been worshipped since ancient times, but she's known for being grouchy and is said to turn rude people into frogs. Mega Mega adds that she restricts other deities from performing new activities, and notes that she doesn't like the virtue stamp cards, so she wants people to stop using them. Mega Mega thinks her stamp cards are beneficial to society, so she doesn't want them to disappear, and she mentions that she will confront Ninten. Shala knows where her grand temple is located, and Mega Mega decides to go there so that she can talk to Ninten, asking Azusa to come with her. She mentions that she isn't interested, but Mega Mega reminds her that she was the one who reincarnated her and gave her a beautiful life, so Azusa decides to tag along. They reach the Grand Temple, where they see Ninten's followers, and Mega Mega notes that people from all over the country go there just to worship her. She knows that Ninten is hiding from her followers, and she shows Azusa a statue, but she suddenly grabs onto her hand, telling her not to let go. They run towards the statue, and they're suddenly transported to Ninten's dimension, where they see her enjoying a cup of tea. Mega approaches her, and Ninten asks her what she wants, but she suddenly bows to her, telling her she wants to build a good relationship with her. She tries to give her gifts, but Ninten knows that she's up to something, asking her if she wants to make a deal with her. Ninten notes that she doesn't like the virtue stamps, and tells Mega she should act like a real god, instead of playing silly games. But she thinks virtue cards deserve to exist in this world, because they push people to be kind to others, and notes that it's good to have something new. But Ninten wants to ban her teachings, and threatens to turn her into a frog if she doesn't leave. She takes out her sword, and Ninten realizes she wants to fight, so she prepares to take her on. Mega charges in, and they start fighting, as Azusa realizes that their battle is on another level. Mega reminds Ninten that she used to outrank her, because she was the overseer of multiple worlds, while Ninten was only assigned to this world. She is upset hearing this, and goes on the offensive, telling Mega she will outrank her in this world. She manages to disarm her, and uses magic to turn her into a frog, so Mega starts to panic, while Ninten prepares to finish her off, telling her people can live peaceful lives without change. So Azusa recalls the time when she used to do nothing but kill slimes, and her life improved after her family joined her. She protects Mega and tells Ninten that change can be a good thing, telling her there's nothing wrong with virtue cards, because the people are having fun while using them. Ninten tells her she doesn't stand a chance, because she's just a human, but she explains that she owes Mega because she was the one who reincarnated her into this world. Azusa notes that she won't let Ninten kill her, and Mega is touched hearing this, realizing she has a good heart, so she rewards her with a gold virtue card, which grants her godlike powers. Azusa realizes that her stats have improved, and Ninten tries to strike her down, but Azusa dodges her attacks, and catches her sword. She throws it away, and tells Ninten she isn't acting like a real god, because she was about to kill a defenseless frog. But she refuses to give up, and prepares to use her magic again, but Azusa stops her, telling her not to get rid of the virtue cards, because they're making people happy. Ninten admits defeat, and they have tea together, as she notes that she now approves of the virtue cards. She realizes she was narrow-minded, because she wasn't willing to accept change, and she tells Azusa she can be casual with her, since she bested her in combat. Azusa and Mega leave her dimension, and Azusa is glad that everything turned out fine, but she realizes that she forgot to tell her to return Mega to normal. The villagers prepare for their annual festival, where everyone dances in the streets for 2 days, and Azusa recalls that her family opened their coffee shop last year. Falfa wants to do it again, but Azusa recalls that the people kept talking about their shop, and they seemed to forget about the festival. Shala notes that their shop is extremely popular, because it only opens once a year, so she suggests opening their shop every day. But Azusa doesn't want to work there all the time, so Shala mentions that they can hire a manager to do her job. Miss Janty applies for the position, and explains that she needs to earn money, because she isn't making enough from her followers. She promises to do her job well, so Azusa decides to hire her, and she looks forward to their opening. A few days later, Natalie visits the house, and she mentions that she's against their idea, because she wants them to make a splash during the festival. She mentions that the villagers want to see them open on the eve of the festival, but Azusa is worried that they might get more customers than last year, telling Natalie it would be chaotic. But she mentions that the guild will hire adventurers to maintain order, and they'll even use a numbered ticket admission system, so Azusa agrees to do it. After that, Azusa tells her friends to help her run the shop, and they promise to do their best, but Sandra refuses to join them because she doesn't like crowds. On the eve of the festival, we see people flocking to their shop, and Azusa announces that they're now open. But she's surprised to see the demons, and they mention that they'll liven up the festival, revealing that they have the number 1 ticket. The twins take them to their seats, but Na and Mian also arrive, telling Azusa they have the number 2 ticket. Rosalie is happy to see them, and she welcomes them inside, as Azusa wonders if something happened behind the scenes, because the first 2 tickets ended up with people they know. She prepares to welcome the next customer, but she's surprised to see Yufu, who offers to help them out, but Azusa tells her they're okay, and gives her their menu. Miss Janty tells Azusa to check out a table, and she can't believe Mega and Ninten are also there, telling them they don't have tickets. But Ninten explains that only humans need tickets, while Mega notes that nobody can see their table, because they were the ones who brought it there. Azusa sees Sandra outside and decides to talk to her, telling her everyone's doing their jobs well, but they need another helper. Sandra explains that she can't help them because she doesn't have a uniform, but Azusa reveals that she made one for her. So she decides to help them out, and the customers stare at her as she serves their food because they find her cute. Everyone has a great time, and after Azusa's family finishes serving all the customers, they close their shop, and Azusa tells Miss Jandy she did a great job. But Pecora suddenly appears, and Azusa wonders why she didn't go home, so she explains that she still needs to do something tomorrow. The dance festival begins, and Azusa notices several stores run by demons, so Pecora explains that they're planning to live in harmony with humans. Sandra sees Eno selling mandrake pills, so she becomes angry, and Eno apologizes for trying to catch her. Azusa sees Pon hosting a tournament, where Laika and Fura are playing a card game, which uses ancient magic. The spectators are sent flying, so Azusa uses her magic to save them. She sees Kuralina drawing a painting of the Leviathan sisters, but they realize that they look creepy, and Azusa notes that it doesn't fit the festival's mood. The twins are happy that Beals bought toys for them, and Laika mentions that the festival is fun, but they hear people talking about a concert. They think Cuckoo will perform on stage, so they decide to check it out, but they see Pecora performing in front of everyone, and she sings a song about having fun. The crowd cheers for her, and she mentions that she's there to serve as a bridge between humans and demons, but she suddenly introduces them to Azusa. She freaks out hearing this, and joins Pecora on stage, asking her what she needs to do. So Pecora tells her to sing, and she explains that she can't do that, but Cuckoo mentions that she'll accompany her, and Azusa realizes that the crowd is cheering for her. So she decides to go for it, and sings a song about happiness and the beauty of nature, while everyone enjoys her performance. They recall the moments they spent together, and realize it's been a long journey, but they're all glad she was reincarnated there, so she could bring happiness to their lives. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.